Oh, sorry.
Mr. Johnson. Yes, go ahead. Any questions? Any comments? You're on mute if you're speaking. Go ahead,
Can
Sister
you hear me?
Maria. Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
sorry.
Good
Go
morning.
ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. Has the brother heard the quote by A.T. Jones that says that concerns every Adventist that he will wish he had left America when he had the chance? Have you
Yeah,
ever
I
read
read
that?
that.
Brother Brennan.
I read that. I read that somewhere a long time ago. I can't remember where. Yeah, was it
Yeah.
in
Let me see.
where is it? I
It
think
it was in the it was it was in the
yeah, I read that. Yeah, he wished he had left long ago,
Yeah,
or
he
probably read
says,
it in one of yeah.
well, why do you think that is? That he's saying it's in the General Conference Bulletin,
yes.
Volume 4.
Yeah, probably bulletin. Yeah, no, the thing is that there could be a multitude of reasons why he said that, but we know for sure he said it with a biblical prefaces, meaning that the reason why he probably did say that it was because he knew that America was becoming a hotbed of religious intolerance, that it would not have been safe for anybody who prized religious freedom to stay there anymore. That's the main reason why I think he really did say that.
Yeah. But isn't this gonna happen everywhere? I'm just
Yeah, it will happen everywhere. Nowhere is safe, really, You're safe nowhere. But the point is that
It's just worse
uh
here.
yeah, it's just worse there. Yeah, thank you for helping me. It would just be more worse there because remember, that's like it's like example, nobody survived Rome. Like example, what you remember when they wanted to take Luther to Rome, they fought hard for him not to go because they said no one ever went to Rome and survived. They all came out dead, not
Right.
even
Yeah.
Paul. When Paul
Mm-hmm.
went to Rome, he died. He didn't come out alive. Nobody made it out there alive. So that was like the center of the devil himself. Nobody was going to make it out there,
Mm-hmm.
my friends.
Yeah.
So in America,
Yeah.
it will be like that. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
will make it out there. You see what I'm saying? When the whole thing breaks up. Nobody. So it would be very serious. It would be very this man puts it this way, but I didn't mean to quote from him, but really, he must have learned it probably from a Bible person, Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine was a really wicked man, though. He said, "These are the days that tries men's souls." When he said that it was the time of the revolution, the American Revolution, and then around that time you had the French Revolution. And if you go into the history of that, those are really days that tried men's souls. People were not only hunting you for your life, but they were hunting you for your faith. I mean, you can lose your life, but your faith, it was vicious. The teachings were overthrowing people. Many Christian men they lost their spiritual head, which was Christ. They were overthrown by the new idea of reason. So every wind of doctrine is why I say it will be flying. America will be the hotbed of it. It will be flying, and every species of evil will be flying. And she says that mercy will run out from the hearts of men. It will be cruel. I can't imagine how it's going to be. It's going to be very terrible. It will be sad. It will be heartbreaking. So it will be cruel. So that is what I just want to say in that.
mhm. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sister Johnson.
Oh no.
Yeah, so if any question, comment, anything that was highlighted, anything that wasn't clear, now is the time to ask me so that I can make it clear.
I'm just thinking from the study on Friday, in terms of the character that we're looking for now that Christ is in the most holy place. It's time no longer, so we're not looking at time. We're looking at characters. It just came back to me yesterday, and I was thinking, so with people saying that there's going to be, you know, a civil war and all these things coming up soon. Now that you mentioned that, it's basically character we're looking at in terms of, you know, people, another character of the world. um, Most things that are mentioned are talking about the church.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering in terms of that, would there really be any kind of civil war like the Battle of Armageddon?
yeah,
Is it
yeah.
any? Go ahead.
There,
Yeah.
there,
Or
there,
is
there
it
will
just
be a
character
civil
we're
war.
looking at?
Yeah, there will be a civil war because the reason I will tell you why I believe that. Now, notice I say why I believe that, right? Because everybody may not believe it, but I'm just telling you why, and then I'll give you evidence for it. I know probably many people are watching different Present Truth Ministry, and they have a quote that they're flying around. I have a video too on it. It's a small video, 5 minute video, showing a civil war in America. Now, I am not talking bad about Americans or American people or government. So I'm just telling you, it, there's a quote that is flying around. It says, there are, I wish um, please bear with me. I want to find it because I want to read it so that you don't, wait, let me just look for it quickly. See if I can find it to read it. I will give you two reasons why I truly believe there's going to be a civil war. Now, please bear with me. I'm looking for this quote here. Um, because I myself, I read this quote before, and while I was preparing the video, well, before I was preparing the video, but I read the quote before, but I never saw it like that. This is why I tell you, when you give Bible studies, it's like these things become to be clear in your minds. But when you're just reading it, but you're not sharing it, it doesn't really become so clear in the mind. So you need to share it. This is how you come to understand it really well. Now, I'm for this, I'm finding it. If anybody find a quote, can you please share it with me? Okay,
What a big
wait, I'm coming up to the quote.
Wait.
Okay, no. This is a quote. The quote is taken from Ellen White manuscript 114 in the year 1899, general manuscript titled August 13, 1899. You can find it in 5 manuscript reliefs, page 3 of 5, paragraph 4 or chapter 66. And I went back in the manuscript, it's right there indeed. It really did say that. It says other things. But this is a piece of the quotation. I want to give you like a full thing of the quotation, and then I'll tell you why I believe truly there's going to be a civil war, because this is big. I mean, listen what it says. It says, God does not design that men shall appropriate all that the earth produces on selfish purposes. You see, what starts this selfish sin leads to war and all these things? Selfishness. Remember, we looked at that? The same spirit of Satan. I myself first. It says he calls upon them. Jesus is speaking here. She's telling the will of Jesus. He calls upon them to bring their tithes and offering into his storehouses. But she's talking about church people. Hold on, wait, my friends. She's talking about church people is becoming selfish here. Now continue. And church people are in governments. You have church people in government or no? You have church people government. America is one of the government that has a lot of church people in it. It says, he calls upon them to bring their tithes and offerings into his storehouses. But why she's saying this? Why is God giving men the duty of tithes and offering? Do you know why? Because it is to cure us of our selfishness. That's the reason for that. Because this selfishness leads to every other sin. It leads to the same fall like Lucifer. It says here that there may be meat in a storehouse God is giving them. It says in India, China, Russia, and the cities of America, thousands of men and women are dying of starvation. The money men, because they have the power, control the market. It says they purchase at low rates all they can obtain and then sell at greatly increased prices. Listen now, this means starvation to the poorer classes and will result in a civil war. No, there's a whole lot here. You need to pray for me to tell you and for you to get it. Number one, the result will be a what? A civil war. But listen, it says, what caused the civil war? Selfishness, right? What the selfishness leads to? A capitalization of the wealth or resources of the earth in a small group in the hands of a small selected few, and the masses are starving. Then the starvation results in a civil war. Now, where will the civil war be? The civil war will be where the starvation is. Now, she mentioned where the starvation will be. In China, in India, in Russia, and the cities of America. So it is a universal civil war that will break out, not only in America. That's what you want to really highlight from this quotation. Now you may say, "Oh, I know for sure." Well, let me ask you a question. When Mrs. White wrote this, how I know for sure that a civil war will come? It is yet future. When she wrote it, she says it will result in a civil war, which means it didn't have chorus yet. When she wrote this, did they have a civil war in America?
What year was it again?
Ah, that's the key, sister. You get it. You hit the hammer on the nail. The key is in the year when it was written, 1899. At this time, did they have a civil war in America? No. The Civil War had passed, remember? Remember the Civil War was in
Yeah.
1865. It had passed. So she couldn't have been talking about the Civil War in the past because that had gone. It must have meant something yet to come. And so far, we haven't seen a civil war like America's Civil War in the 1865 as yet. Have you seen it? No, you haven't seen it. This is the one great evidence that shows me that the Civil War is going to come. It is coming. You see, you get the point? So in order to know when it will be near, what is the acid test? He tells you. Usually in every question, I learned this, in every science. And I don't mean I know all science, but I learned it from studying in school and all these things. In every question, the answer is usually in the question. So the point that I want to make here is that what will cause the civil war? Starvation to the poorer classes. So how you will know the civil war is near? You study the acid test is studying to see the level of starvation in the world, level of amount of inequality in the world, the level of the amount of wealth that has been accumulated by a selective few and others are not having it. That's your test to see. So that will requires you to now study into governments, study into economy. And many people are lazy. They don't like to read. I'm not attacking, right? They don't like to read. They don't like to spend time. It's like they want fast food. The truth is not like that. It takes a time. Like people who are studying like medicine and to be doctors and to be lawyers and these things doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. You need to read, you need to investigate, you need to think. So to understand when these things will come to give a correct interpretation of what is happening or when it will happen, you need to go into now studying into economy, you need to study into politics, you need to study what nation used to test the level of starvation, the level of inequality among the rich, and all these things. You need to go into all of that. The Bible student needs to do all of that. Then they can rightly declare, we are going to have this thing in this time. You understand? So the year tells you there's going to be one because it didn't occur in her year. And then it tells you the magnitude of how it will be. It is in these places where the starvation is, where the inequality is. And then she said, not only the cities of America, but in China and Russia and um, China, Russia, and India. By the way, in 1899, was Russia a power? Yeah, she was a power. She was a power, but she was not like a gigantic power, as in after World War One. China was a power, gigantic power. No, after World War Two, China rose to power through a man named Mao, Chairman Mao, who instituted the Great Famine. There's two books on it. I have those books. I read them. It's called, go look up Mao Great Famine by Frank Dakota. He showed how Mao starved more than 11 or 40 something million people. Mao was a cruel man, boy, with his policies and all that was happening after World War II. China became a power. Well, they became powerful after World War II, right? Then India, when they had broke from England due Mahatma Gandhi independence. I can't remember when they got independent. I think it's in 1940s too, something around that time. But usually after World War II, they began to rise into powers, right? So we're seeing that this will result in a lot of starvation, which will lead into civil war. So it says the money men, because they have the power, it says they buy at low rate. So what they do here, there is a book you can read. There are several books you can read up to help you understand. Like example, you have Vatican Billions, and then they have some others. There's some others I read. I can't remember. None is that coming to my mind at this time, but it shows you how, like for example, how how like the big elites people, they create like a panic in nations, or they create inflation. The book, a good book to read that will help you. But he didn't really, in my opinion, this book is called The Preacher from Jekyll Island, and it shows how I think about 7 men or 12 men went to this island called Jekyll Island to create the Federal Reserve Bill, and he explained all this in his book and all these things. And he tried to describe his system, but he says it's something that was never meant for nobody to understand. My friend, that's the devil system. Nobody can understand it but the devil. So, but the point is what he was trying to say in his book is that the governments of the world creates a debt system because they need money for war spending and need money to buy a lot of things. So they create a debt system. These things result in death. And as the result of the debt, they throw the debt over on the people. So the people suffer really. And this results in a lot of problem in society because when the debts are thrown upon people, they have less money power, spending power, so they have less to buy, less to eat, less of everything, and it results in all these other chaotic things in society. So Mrs. White says what they do is that they create a situation or like they create a depression in the in governments in nations, and when these depression comes or inflation, the people who has the money, what they do, they can now buy as they please. So they will buy up all the good things, all the best things, and they will hoard it, hoard it, hoard it, hoard it, hoard it, hoard it. So when the nation begins to start turning again, they have the power because they have the wealth of the thing. One example of this I will show you. There's two examples. The Great Depression in the 1920s, when everything went down to nothing. The people who had the money, Wall Street and them, they bought up everything, all the best places in America. Then I will bring you to COVID-19 and I will show you. You remember during COVID-19, what was the price for oil? Was it expensive or was it nothing? Did you remember that? There was news on that. That was news. Remember during 2020 when everything was shut down? They didn't have to use no more aviation gas. They didn't have to use oil for nothing. Everything is shut down. Did the price went up or did the price went down for oil? Hello.
I can't remember what happened in price for the oil in 2020, but I know after that it went up. That's for sure.
Okay.
And it's still up.
Okay, I will. Okay, yeah, very good. Now, if you go and look back on the news, there was one news source. I can't remember this guy. Peak, uh, Peak Prosperity. He was one. There was another news source, and they were showing the price for oil had plummeted. I mean, oil was like nothing now. Nobody wants it. It was selling for nothing. What do you think the money people did during
Buy
that time?
all of it.
They buy up the oil, right? So now what's happening? The price is going up because
Oh, so they're the
they
ones that
have it. They hoard it. They have it. I don't know who they are, but I know that they have it now, and they have it so they can control the market. So this is what they do. The devil is a whole the book. This book, Creature of Jekyll, it it's amazing how they do these things. But there are other books, but I can't remember the time. I have all of them there in my library. There, some of them I read, some I read part of. But it's amazing. Satan has this big system whereby he is like he's sinking the system to make everything cheap, and then his money people comes and buy up everything. Doesn't miss what he says. They hoard it, and when the economy comes back alive, they have the power. Imagine if they only have 10 10 huge tanks of water on the face of this earth. Only 10, only 10, only 10. And for some reason, people begin to start just don't worry much with water now. They're going to Coca-Cola. They don't want water no more. Water is nothing. Just deal with Coca-Cola. Satan will create a scene whereby people will not, water will become nothing, and then his money men will buy up all the 10 tanks of water. No. When the economy begins to strive again, they will need water, right? Who has the power? The people who own the
those who
water,
bought.
right? Yeah, and what do you think? They're going to sell it for you at a nice price? Oh, we love you so much. We want to give you a good price. What do you think they will do? They're going to control the buying. They're going to control the price. They will sell you it not at a nice price. So this is what's happening all over the world right now. They're having a dollar crisis. I don't know if you know that. Here in this country, have a dollar crisis. It's like you can't you can't buy without a thing. And the things here, if you the people who has the dollars, they have the spending power, so they can buy out all the cheap places. They can buy out all the best places because they have the power. The dollars has more power now because it is scarce. So it has more power. Scarcity, this is a law of business. Scarcity, and there's something called scarcity and choices. Or also it's called the law of demand. I can't remember, demand and supply. Yeah, you learn this in business. Is that when something is scarce, it becomes more valuable, it becomes more expensive. When something is not scarce or in abundance, the law of the what happens is that it is less cheaper when it is competitive. Let's say everybody is selling water. Everybody will sell at a reduced price to get their water sell. But let's say only a few people have water. It's scarce. And what will happen is that the people will become the prices will begin to, the water will become more valuable, the prices for it will therefore go up. So in a sense, what is happening is that when there's a scarcity of thing, the people who have few of it has more spending power than those who don't have that thing. Was that clear?
Oh yeah, that of economics. I mean, that's a principle in economics, demand and supply. So they just
Yeah.
have to create the situation that they can apply that principle.
Yes. Yes. Very good. Okay. So, and any
And
other
I
question?
and I think they're actually doing it with the food because I heard they bought up all the land.
Uh,
So so soon. And then I think they're paying the farmers and they're killing farmers too. So they can
mm,
produce. So then they will produce whatever food they want, and you have to get it from them. But in that time, how does God people not fear, and how do we just follow God? Whether we know we're gonna suffer, but how do we? And then I'm happy you said that they mention a part of America that is going to be, and I actually heard that from someone in terms of the Civil War, in terms of leaving America, the quotation by A.T. Jones. The person said is referring more so to the people who are in the cities, the large cities of America. Not it wouldn't be so much for the people who are in the country of America, but we can all pray to God and ask about that. So when you said city, when the quotation said mentioned cities, it
uh-huh.
came back to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thank you
mhm.
so much. Just as take a point, something I forgot to say too. This Civil War, which you talked it was connected with the time of trouble such as never was. So which means it's a war that comes somewhere near the close of your probation, the time of trouble such as never was. So you get that, right? So it is something future. It's something future because she connects it with the time of trouble such as never was. All right? Yeah. So you can continue, sister.
and
Sorry, I missed that.
and also it looks like she predicted the Second World War right there too. I'm sorry, it's not the
Mm,
Second World War. She predicted this the
of
Civil War right
course.
there too, because no, she had a prediction of the Civil War before, but now
Yeah.
you're
Uh-huh.
saying that
Yeah, she had a prediction of the
past.
Civil
So
War.
this quotation could be the prediction that she made. I never thought of. It could be not a vision or a prediction again of
Yeah, in
the
Testimony Volume 1. In Testimony Volume 1, page 266 is where she talks about the Civil War, right? So you can read that up and you will see. So she predicted the first Civil War, and she was predicting another Civil War because this is in 1899 when this was when she basically said this. This is a year. So which means there was many years after the Civil War, which means yeah, this is yeah, so there's going to be not just in America, wherever the starvation is what causes civil selfishness is what causes civil war. It leads to starvation. Wherever the starvation is, there is where civil wars will be. Not just in the cities of America, but it says in China, in Russia, in India, and all these places. They're going to be widespread civil war. It's going to be, yeah, and it will lead to the time of trouble, such as never was, she says, closing up of your probation. All right. So, any other questions?
I would just add that that's why they probably buy the land, because that's what they probably. I mean, are these people smarter than us? Do they know do they understand these things so well that they know what they need to do? And like only God's people probably don't know what they need to do and where they need to be, because it seems they bought up all the land. So of
Mm,
course they will control the food, which will bring about that which was predicted. Okay, go
yeah.
ahead, Kalia. Kalia, nice to have you, 12-year-old. Wonderful.
No, that's my had my daughter in a program, so I just never
Oh,
did change
okay.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite interesting. It's the first time it's the first time I log in on this. I was just up doing some reading and prayer, and I saw this, so I logged on. But it's quite interesting information that's been presented. And just to make a comment on the question that just a not a question, but it's a comment that that the sister made before. Are these people smarter than us? We must understand that the word teaches us that God's people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and God
Mm,
would not. We are not destroyed um, in because we're innocent of what is happening. We are destroyed of a willing neglect to know what is happening, and we must keep
mm,
in mind the importance All of these instructions are given to us years ago as to where we should be living, what we should be doing, how we should be doing certain things. Um, and it's fear of wanting, it's a lack of knowledge of wanting, it's negligence of one thing, it's lack of faith and trust in God. But God lays out his plan, because God is able to tell you what is to be the end of these things. He set up the Caleb, he set up the guidelines, and he says this, like how it's been presented, the true king of the Mede and Persia, of Tyre, of Rome, of Babylon, he tells you who it is and who it represents and what and what and what. So God never leave us alone or to fiddle around to figure out things on our own. He gives us guidance, he gives us counsel, he gives us instruction. The problem lies with us in negligence, a lack of knowledge, and we are destroyed because we refuse to follow the way of the Lord. Anytime we take up the mantle and we decide that we are going to be obedient to God's word, he promises that he will shield us, he will protect us, he will never leave us nor forsake us. So it is for us to apply ourselves to learn of the ways of the Lord and to take heed to his instruction and seek him for strength and grace and mercy to follow his instruction so that he can hide us in the pavilion of his protection. Amen.
Amen. Yes, sister, thank you so much for sharing. The video, the recording, share it far and wide, and I think it will be a blessing also too. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Amen. Amen. Any other questions, Brother Ken? Sister Maria, any other questions? I know you were, I'm not sure if your question was answered on A.T. Jones and where we should be, but as my dear sister added, for me personally, that would be my last question. You know, I feel my personal conviction, and when the person said that this A.T. Jones quotation referred to the cities of America, not so much for those in the country. I'm not saying that it's not going to come, but in the COVID time, when I came here, I did not know COVID was going on. And I actually had my house filled to capacity, not knowing that there will be a rule that you can't have a crowd in your house of more than 6 people or whatever the situation is. And that was what was going on in my home. But of course, in the country, they don't have a clue what's going on here. I mean, there's going to come a time when they're going to have spies, but I have neighbors about half a mile on both sides. They can't see what's going on, except I guess you have 10, 15 cars in your yard, then they might assume. So I think where you are will answer that question. You know, we can't run or hide except in Jesus. And so I feel safe that I am at, in the right place that he asked me to be in the country. Now I just need to be in the right place in spiritually inward in the country, not only physically, but I need to be right in my mind and my heart, that I don't have a shadow of a doubt that he will protect me wherever I am. I don't, have a problem remaining in America. I don't have a problem if he sends me to Europe, if he sends me to Africa, wherever he sends me, because there's a quotation as well that says it's better to be in the places that are like melting pots, because you can reach a wide range of people in one place, and they now can take the message to their homeland. When you give it to them, they can take it to their homeland. So that's the benefit of being in America, in the place where prophecy is to be fulfilled, or any other big place, but be in the right place with God spiritually and in the country where it wouldn't get to you as fast as it will hit the people in the city, you know, and then strive to get your neighbors on your side, do the medical missionary work, go out and help your neighbors so that they will protect you too. That's how God has shown me. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
All right, so it seems like
Yeah.
that's it. If you have another comment, Brother Clement, you can say.
No, I don't have another comment. I would just say encouraging everybody to continue to review the things as we go through the videos and study. Continue to review them and ask God to show you if these things that you're hearing is so that you don't leave here thinking that you're hearing I am telling you something, but you're hearing that God is telling you something, right? God is speaking to you. So that's just my comment to go over these things for yourself and see them for yourself, understand it for yourself, and God will help you make prepare for everything that is about to come. Because remember, we are saved individually. You know, we're not saved in groups, we're not saved collectively, but we are to meet together in groups to encourage and strengthen each other that we all may trust in the same Savior. So this is the thing. So just continue studying, take time with it and review it to see that if these things are so. So that's my final comment to everyone that are on here.
Yes, Sister Kaylee's mom.
How, my name is Irva. How often do you guys do this program?
This program is begin today. This
Uh-huh.
program begin today. To do it every Sunday. Same time, 5 in the morning. To it should be 6, but remember we started late, so we wanted to a little past 6, and then the question and answer takes us into 7. But the point is to start at 5 and finish at 6, 1 hour. And so every Sunday we plan to do it. And if we have uh, the same people keep coming, it will be good to keep coming every time because every study builds on the other one so that you don't be lost. And on Fridays, we have another study where we're doing the plan of redemption, looking in the sanctuary from 7:30 to about 8:30. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, 7:30. Did you say PM? That's Sabbath, opening Sabbath?
Yeah, 7:30 and Friday
No,
nights.
7 PM.
7. Sorry, yeah, 7.
Yes, you want to make
Yeah.
them come 7:30?
Uh,
Yes,
it's 7. It's
7
7. It's
PM.
7. We start at 7 and we finish about 8.
Yes,
So
because we
yeah,
want to finish on time.
we'll
So
finish in
if you're
1 hour.
asking persons
No
to,
more than an hour. Yeah, no more
yes,
than an hour because it's a lot of
yes,
information.
be
And
prompt.
yeah,
Yes, so you can get to ask questions in the end. If we start late, then the questions are cut down. So please make it on time. And thanks so much, everyone, for being here so early. Appreciate you very, very much. Any final questions for on anything else? And we invite parents to bring their children. This Daniel Revelation is from teens up. And then we have the plan of salvation is from 8 years old up. So parents, please join with your children, and you can put your children's name next name as well. If you're joining with children, put their name and their age, so we can acknowledge that there's a child in the room. Any quick question before we go? Comment?